Well, the Tigers get smacked on Independence Day. We're going to talk about what's been going wrong for the team, as well as what they can do going forward. We'll take a look ahead all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Friday, July 5th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen. Every single day, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Tigers is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. So check out Booking.com for your stay today. The Detroit Tigers, actually, full disclosure, peek behind the curtain here. I'm not waiting around for this game to end. At the time of this recording, it is mid-rain delay, and the game has not been called yet. What are we talking about? I'm not waiting like an hour or 2 hours for them to maybe come back and play 2 innings and then still lose by 9. Right? This game, the radar doesn't look good either, which is really the biggest reason why I'm doing this. But I think it's pretty safe to say that this game went how it went. It's probably going to be a 3-12 final. The only thing that might happen, I guess, is if like a roster move happens later this night, but got 4th of July plans and whatnot. So we're here right now, mid-rain delay. It is 12-3 Minnesota, and I expect that to be the final score, and I really don't expect them to play baseball after that. So 12-3, assuming this stands, the Tigers' record will be 39-48 on the season. They got absolutely smacked around. This was not a good showing by Kenta Maeda, and very quickly became not a good showing by your Detroit Tigers. Now, then the first 2 innings, they put up some runs. They had 3 runs after the second. They scored in each of the first 2 innings. That's a small miracle for this team. So, like, we will gladly take it, and that was going well. And going into the 3rd inning, they had the lead, right? Then Kenta Maeda struggled mightily, got absolutely hit around the yard, gave up 9 runs, I think he was on the hook for by the time it was all said and done. And the Tigers offense did not recover, just completely roll over. This offense doesn't do much when it's actually a close and competitive ball game. So when it's rainy and a blowout and not a close and competitive ball game, they roll over. And that is exactly what happened. Not a lot went right, to be honest. That's going to be a very small segment of the show. Let's start off with what went wrong. I think you have to start with Kenta Maeda here. Unfortunately, his final line, I almost feel bad reading it. 3 2/3, 9 hits, 9 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a home run against. His ERA is now 6.71 on the season as we approach the All-Star break here in a couple of weeks. I mean, if you want to talk on the field and talk about, like why he's struggling and whatnot, his command is it's baffling how much he has struggled with command, right? We knew when we signed him that he was going to top out at 91 miles an hour. He's done that for most of his career, especially the latter half of it. So like that was not a surprise. The velocity is not some huge revelation, some big shock to everybody. The stuff I don't think is terrible still, right? The splitter you see, maybe it doesn't get the swings and misses that it once did, but it still is an effective chase pitch for him when it's located well. The slider, similar conversation. It's not just like a flat slider. It's not just nothing. It's just he has no clue where anything's going, it feels like. And the fastball has to be located really well because it tops out at 90. So when it comes to, again, this outing, not good. The command all over the place. Could not throw a strike. Very inefficient. Walking people left and right. The balls that were in the strike zone were over the heart of the plate. Just really a complete disaster. Didn't even go 4 innings. Had a very high pitch count as well. 88 in 3 2/3. Not good, right? The big conversation with Maeda is the future of Kenta Maeda. It's not the present, right? We are all aware of the performance that he has been putting out there on a consistent basis. We're all aware of the production, rather, that he's been putting out there. We if you follow this team even remotely, you're aware of where he stands currently within the organization. So the conversation isn't really about the now, it's about what do you do with him. Um, I'll be honest, I don't think there is any justification for him being on this rotation like after the All-Star break. And I think he will be. And I don't know if that's more of a reflection on the front office or on ownership or maybe just both. I would not be surprised if he finished out the season, honestly, with the Tigers. And that is wildly disappointing. He has to go. And it doesn't matter if you are still in the mindset, and this is you as a fan, or if you pretend you're Scott Harris for a second, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter to me what your mindset of the season is. If you are still of the belief of, oh, it's, before the All-Star break, we're about to hit the All-Star break, there's still a lot of baseball left to be played, try to win some games, crawl your way back into like the wild card or the 500 conversation. I'm not with you there, but like I'm not going to stop anybody from thinking that. If that's still how you feel about this team, then you shouldn't want Kenta Maeda in the rotation because it's essentially batting practice once every 5th day for the opposing team. And if you're on the other side of the aisle and you go, well, this is a lost season, the season is over, win losses don't even matter, what's the point? You should still not be earmarking a start a week for Kenta Maeda because he is taking the spot of anybody in this organization that has a fighter's chance of being a major league pitcher for this team down the road, which Kenta Maeda clearly does not, right? Even if he was lights out, obviously you'd throw him out there once every turn in the rotation. But if he was pitching really well, it would still not be, oh, he's going to be here, the next 3 or 4 years. You sent him to a 2-year deal, which is looking just like an awful decision by this front office currently. But again, like, does that make sense? Like, it doesn't matter what your opinion of this team is. It benefits everybody, maybe even Maeda included. He can get a fresh start somewhere. He can, I don't know, sign a half a year deal with somebody that wants to take a chance on him. Like, I don't know, a minor league deal maybe. I'm not sure where, with how old he is and where he's at in his career, what he thinks his future in baseball is. But like, I don't think there's any justification for keeping him. Oh, there you go. The game was just called. 7 innings, final score. The game is done. Boom. Okay, so glad that decision paid off. We're already done with the segment here. But I hope that I'm articulating that well. Like, this is, it really doesn't matter how you view this baseball team right now. There is pretty much zero justification for this dude being in the rotation going forward. And I'm not sure this ownership and or front office has the stones to actually do that half a year into a 2-year deal, which is preposterous because you're not paying him $70 million. It's what, 10 mil this year or 10 mil next year, 12 or 14 this year. Count your losses and move on and give, whether it's Manning, whether it's Montero, give somebody an opportunity. So that's where I stand with Kenta Maeda. If he doesn't get DFA'd, cut, whatnot, then hopefully he can make some adjustments and turn it around. But hasn't so far this season. Okay, let's keep the ball rolling. Got to talk about the offense that struggled after the second inning in this ball game. We will do that right after this. Got to tell you all about our friends over at Booking.com. This episode of Locked On Tigers is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah, with summer travel heating up, especially for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities that always secretly wanted to like learn more about, but you maybe didn't have the guts to say it out loud because we're talking about your rivals' cities. Again, we talk about it a lot. A Yankees fan can have a great time in Boston. A Tigers fan, you can go to Minnesota. I have great stories and memories going to Cleveland and watching Guardians baseball games against the Tigers and then exploring the wonderful city of Cleveland. There's so much fun things to do in the country. Happy 4th of July, everybody. It's 4th of July for me. I know it's the 5th for you. And you can check out those awesome cities, even if they are a team you hate maybe or dislike, on the field, from hotels that overlook stadiums and family-friendly resorts. Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. So book today at Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app. Booking.com. Also got to talk to y'all about our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is the formula for winning championships, and also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, you name it, they have it. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every single time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will be back on Monday recapping this series against the Cincinnati Reds, as well as talking about anything else surrounding the Tigers organization. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, the free 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. You can check it out for free, again, on YouTube, with all of our great hosts on Locked On talking about the biggest stories in sports. You can also check it out for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. All right, so talked about Kenta Maeda. I think we pretty much exhausted that conversation. Just a really unfortunate predicament for everybody involved there. We'll see what happens going forward. Let's talk about the offense in this ball game. So Colt Keith homers, that's great. That was definitely a good thing. Jake Rogers with the clutch 2-out hit in the second inning, and then they do next to nothing the remainder of the ball game, mostly against Bailey Ober. Yeah, look, this was. We'll talk about the Colt Keith game in general, in what went right. It's one of the few things that did. Jake Rogers has a batting average barely over 200 and an OPS barely over 600. I'm not relying on him to consistently do what he did, but obviously was a good piece of hitting there with 2 outs to score a couple of runs. It's almost at a point, like when I watch this offense, when they do something like that, I don't even get super excited anymore because I'm like, well, that's not happening again for weeks. And this is scored 2 runs in the second. This isn't like, oh, we hit 3 grand slams in a game. Like, oh, I'm not going to see this ever again. Like, no, this is just getting a 2-out hit from your 9-hitter. That's not the moon. That's not some unrealistic, unfathomable expectation for a major league offense, but it is for this offense. And so, like, that's great, but like, I don't expect Jake Rogers to do that very often going forward. I'm not going to be holding my breath when he has well, probably shouldn't be holding my breath anytime, but I'm not going to be, on the edge of my seat like, oh, this is a big opportunity for Rodgers to come through again. And I'm not just picking on him either. This is anybody. You can interchange that name with pretty much anyone. Like we just don't get hits really in general. And when we do, there's certainly not 2 out with runners in scoring position hits. We talk about RISP all the time and clutch stats all the time on this show. So I think that is kind of just the demoralizing part of it for me. It's just like, man, that's great. That was good. We were winning at that point, so I was pumped for the game. In the context of the game, I was excited because we had a chance to take a series from the Twins there for a second, believe it or not. But as far as like the big picture outlook of this offense, it doesn't change because of that, and that was reflected by the remainder of the game, which was again that this team just kind of rolling over and letting Bailey Ober just dominate after he got past that second inning. It's a same song and dance. Like it's the same story, different day with this team and with this offense specifically. Mark Hanna got a hit. That's like noteworthy at this point, unfortunately. But man, Andy Ibanez got carved up 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. They were just only throwing him changeups, and he just swung and missed at all of them. That was a really wild thing to watch unfold. But like Zach McKinstry, 0 for 3 with a strikeout that he got to first base on and then scored. Hilarious way to score. 176 average, 515 OPS. That is remarkably poor. So yeah, just you put together, some good ABs in the first couple of innings there. You got rewarded for it. That's great. I'm glad that they at least showed it's possible. But you look at the next, 5 innings with the rain out, the next 5 innings, and then the course of the season, and your mindset hasn't really changed on where the offense is at. At least mine hasn't. That's all. The bullpen, not great either in this one. Really, all 3 facets there. Offense, starting, pitching, bullpen. Not all find themselves in what went wrong. So not a great day at the office for the Tigers. Joey Wentz looked really, really poor. And then Shelby Miller struggled as well, but he was also pitching in borderline torrential downpour. I'm not sure why they didn't even call the game after like the 5th or 6th inning. It was wild to me that they even went as long as they did. So I'm not going to put too much. Like Shelby Miller has a 6.40 ERA, but like I'm not gonna put too much against him in this outing specifically. It didn't look like he could even grip the baseball. But not a great day at the office for a guy that has not been great this year. Joey Wentz. If this team had any other lefties that were on the 40-man roster in the entire organization, I don't believe that Joey Wentz would be on this major league roster right now. You are talking about a year and a half now of sample size of him pitching like this. The only blip in his major league career was the September 2 seasons ago, and then April this year when every pitcher on this staff was doing really well. He's the guy, like, I would love to come on here and give a similar conversation and be like, look, I just don't think it's going to work out. I think they have to move on from him as well. And you just got to, I would love for this team to just make a ton of changes in the middle of the season. This season's going really poorly. Call a bunch of people up, send a bunch of people down, have a big roster turnover type of thing. But I don't think they will with Joey Wentz specifically. Would welcome being wrong, but I don't think they will because they don't have an arm barn full of lefties on the 40-man waiting at the lower levels. So I think he's just going to continue getting super low leverage. Okay. Let's talk about what went right and then stuff. Some pretty quick conversations. We'll talk about those right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Tax Network USA. Here on Locked On Tigers, we pride ourselves in getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs. It's year round. You know what else is year round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or just finally hit that parlay this season and you need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/locked on. Also got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Ibotta. It's summertime, which means it's barbecue season, so you can stock up on all your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta, so you won't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can get both. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. You can earn on hundreds of items from groceries, beauty supplies, even toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner that you've been craving. Other apps give you points that at the end of the day don't really amount to much, and with Ibotta, you earn actual cash back that you can withdraw straight to your bank account, PayPal, or gift card. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is all yours. Right now, Ibotta is also offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, everybody, welcome back. Your third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Talking about what went right in this 12-3 loss in just 7 innings. Not a very long list. The one thing I want to point out is I thought Andy Ibanez played a fantastic defensive first base. And like this is really what it's come to when you have a game like this. Not a whole lot. This is a guy that went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts at the plate, but he was phenomenal with the glove defensively. And it really makes the Torque situation even more frustrating. Like Andy Ibanez, who was like cut by the Rangers and was waiver claim and was supposed to just be like a depth piece and didn't play first base at the major league level, has just like stepped in, and he's just a gamer. And like he just played a really phenomenal first base and has been hitting. He's not tearing the cover off the ball by any stretch of the imagination, but hits well against lefties and has his role on the team. But yeah, I thought he had a really good, did the splits there, really good Stretch Armstrong at first base impression over there, and then had a really good play going to his right as well on a ground ball. Had a nice scoop in this game, just really impressed all around with that. Then the only other thing, probably the highlight of the game, was Colt Keith's performance. He goes, I believe he ended 2 for 4 with the solo home run. The homer was on a hanging slider. Colt Keith notoriously hits sliders very, very well. Shout out to Jerry OPSenheimer on Twitter. Be sure to give him a follow. One of the brilliant Tiger minds out there, but has been talking about how Colt Keith rips sliders since he was in AA. So that continues. He continues to hit. There was an at-bat in this game where he got a 90-mile-an-hour center-cut fastball and just completely missed it. And I think that continues to be the last step here in the adjustments that he's making. We're starting to see him use all sides of the field a little bit more. His single in this game was to the opposite way. That's good to see. He's not afraid to go the opposite direction, which is always good. We're seeing the power a little bit on off-speed pitches. The last thing and it's a huge step, right, it is still just really honing in on and adjusting to and correctly, being all over velocity. I think that's still something that he is struggling with, but has been pretty solid for the last few games here. And hopefully, like, that's a reason to watch, right? Like you talk about, oh, this season is down the gutter, like it's down the drain, whatever. Colt Keith, potentially turning it around and showing what he has and what he can offer this team going forward is one of the reasons to still keep watching this team. Let's talk stuff. 4th of July game, obviously. It's the 5th as you're listening to this, but the game was on the 4th. The hats were wonderful this year. Absolutely. Those might be my favorite 4th of July hats that I can remember. And they always have, the flag, the American flag in the logo, right? That's always something they usually do. But man, the like cream colored hat and everything, I thought they were fantastic. So I wanted to point that out. Speaking of apparel, all-star jerseys, I'm not sure if they're actually out or if it was a leak, but either way, it looks like we know what they're going to look like. Man, just boring, I think, in my mind. But like my biggest thing, just please, and I know they'll never do it, and I don't want to sound like one of those people that's just going to whine about something that's never going to happen. But like, just let them go back to wearing their own jerseys. That was so sick. It was so cool. And like now it's all just like a marketing thing and a way to make money, right? Like they can go and they can have an all-star jersey and an all-star hat, and then people will go and buy the all-star jersey and the all-star hat. So like they're never going to go back to just letting the players wear their own jerseys ever again. I'm very much aware of that, but it's just it's lame. Like it was way cooler when they did. And I think the all-star jerseys, if that's what they are, I think I'm pretty underwhelmed with that. So let's end the show with this. This is a conversation we've had quite a few times. This isn't a new revelation or anything, but so today's Thursday. We got a little bit under 2 weeks until the All-Star break. I have to imagine a flurry of moves has to be on the horizon. And if it's not, that's just super disappointing and like just shows a lack of I don't know, it's like a lack, not attention, but like a lack of, can't think of the word that I'm trying to use here, but I really think that would not be a great look if we just sat on our hands and did nothing. Like I feel like you have to do something. You have to show that you're still on top of it and whatnot. And I know that you're going to get to the trade deadline and we're going to trade some people away, and there's an opportunity for players to get called up and whatnot after that. But I there is no reason for Kenta Maeda to continue pitching once every 5 days from now until the end of July. No reason. You have to do something. Like Parker Meadows has been raking. I understand that there's still some things that he is struggling with, and some of the things are the reasons why he was sent down. So I understand why he's not exactly like, I don't know, maybe knocking on the door. I mean, maybe, heck, this is the end of a series. We're about to go to a weekend set. Maybe a move happens between now and when you listen to this and before the Reds game on Friday. But I think it's more likely that it either happens after this weekend, because then we go back home for a home series on Monday, or they just wait until the All-Star break. And it has to be. It has to be that you have to do something. And I've been on record a lot this year as like, there's no fixing this right now. So I'm not saying you need to do something to fix it, quote unquote. You need to do something to give some at-bats to the players who actually have some sort of a chance, even if it's 1, 2, 3% chance of being here in the future. If this season is just a prove-it season anyway, then why on earth is Gio Urshela getting like consistent at-bats over somebody who could actually be here for the long haul? You gotta, and like we've talked about it all the time. It's one of the sayings I've said a billion times on this show. The difference between AAA pitching and Major League pitching is the wide it's been. So like if you want people to adjust to Major League pitching, if you want your hitters to adjust to that, they need at bats against Major League pitching. And early in the season, you thought you were in it. So I understand sending those guys down. Now you're out of it. You are. You're in the water. It's not happening. So now bring them back up and let them adjust to Major League pitching again in a season that apparently you had no intentions of being super competitive in anyway. Okay. Tigers play the Reds this weekend, a team who has also not lived up to their preseason hype put on them by their fan base, having a better season than the Tigers, albeit they are 41 and 45. Game one looks like it's going to be Carson Spears, who's had a very nice season, only I think 8 or 9 starts under his belt, but he will go up against Reese Olson. And then on Saturday, we have Hunter Green, the once top pitching prospect, the flamethrower that can hit 100. Very exciting pitcher. He's had a pretty solid season, still working through some development. Also got his development stunted a little bit with some injuries earlier on in his career. So we'll see what happens there. The Tigers currently have TBD for their Saturday game. That is Jack Flaherty's getting skipped in the rotation. So we'll see what happens with that. And then on Sunday, we have Tarek Skubal against Graham Ashcraft, who is a 5 ERA starting pitcher and has an ERA of 5.5 this season. That should be a win for your Tigers. So we'll see. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will be back on Monday talking about this weekend series, as well as any and all things surrounding the Tigers organization. Okay, peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. Hope everyone had a great holiday and has a fantastic weekend. See you on Monday, baby. Go Tigers. I don't know if I said that. Okay, bye.